This is my video for InRangeTV's Woodland Brutality 2022, held at the Echo Valley Training Center in West Virginia from May 13th through 15th. Because most of the shooting areas were less than 100 yards, we allowed PCC divisions at this event. I competed in armored PCC using my KP-9 with an aimpoint acro on an anvil mount. The KP-9 is appropriately Cerakoted in Woodland camo by Pro2 Customs and matches my Whiskey 2-4 plate carrier. First up is the Casarta drill. We do not have to go prone because the ground cover would prevent seeing the target at 100 yards. I have my bipod installed on my PCC just so it's easier to acquire backup off the ground. The ground is soft and it is possible to throw the kettlebell in such a way that it sticks in the mud. Many shooters had this problem. Fortunately, I don't. Every line crossed is minus 15 seconds off the shooter's raw time. I'm going past the first line right here. The target is an MGM flash target, so when it is hit, an orange flag will flash as the target rotates. You can see how much the kettlebell sunk into the mud on that throw. The further into the match we get, particularly with some rain, the more the kettlebells are going to sink into the ground. The terrain at this event inherently changed the challenge for shooters versus many of the matches we run on square bays with hard-packed earth. If you've seen other Casarta drill videos, with hard-packed earth, the kettlebells can tend to roll or slide a further distance. Because it kind of just sinks in and stops here, it does require more throws than it would on those other range conditions. The closer I get to the target, the better my hit ratio becomes. You'll see over the course of this video that using a PCC at real rifle ranges is inherently more challenging than using a rifle. The level of accuracy of my PCC is, at minimum, 2.5 times larger group sizes than that of my 5.56 carbines of equivalent length. Last throw there and last shot. I am first armored PCC on this stage and 19th overall. This stage begins with the shooter running up to a machine gun position. The machine gun was provided by Small Arms Humane Society. The shooter has 10 rounds to dump at 3 poppers at about 200 yards. If they're knocked down, they're knocked down. If they're not knocked down, the shooter has to re-engage them with their own gun. If they're using a regular rifle, they will re-engage them from that position. With PCC, I'm going to do it from a further position up the range. These would normally be pistol targets for other competitors, but PCC shooters can use their single PCC for all target engagements at this match. Using a PCC on these targets after running this far is certainly easier than doing the same with a handgun. I'm going to reload on the move. From this final position, I have to knock down the poppers that would have been done with the machine gun further back, and there are 2 targets out at 200 yards that I also have to get a single hit on each. Poppers at 100 yards don't go down easy with PCC. You'll see I have to rock a few of them to make them fall over.
Nicely done.
On this stage, I am first armored PCC and first overall. This stage begins when the shooter initiates ready by pounding on the Humvee. The shooter has to get 5 hits on this target as the Humvee is pulling away from it. I'm seated with my knee up to provide support for the PCC, and I do in fact get all 5 hits and don't have to make them up later. This area would normally be handgun targets for other divisions, but because I'm in PCC, I can use it to engage all the targets. The idea is that there is a limited window of time for the shooter to make all the hits. If you don't make a hit, it's plus 60 seconds. I signal to the driver that I'm done with those targets and he can speed up and get to the stop point. From this final stop point, I have to get 1 hit on the now 200-yard target. I am 1st Armored PCC and 4th overall on this stage. If you shot the main match, you might notice that our start point is further away during the staff match than during the main match. Someone changed it based on the printout of the stage versus how we ran it during the staff match. From this position, the shooter has to get hits on the about 75-yard target from all the different ports that we end up using here, as well as a couple of the steps on the side.
One more step.
Reload on the move, I have to rotate the spinner at 50 yards. The spinner would be much easier for me to rotate with a 5.56 carbine. It's going to deliver more energy with less flight time and have less sight picture disruption for faster follow-up shots than the blowback PCC will. This final position would be handgun for other divisions, but I'm going to do it all with the PCC. The spinner is still moving. I have to rotate it again from this position, so it's the first thing I'm going to shoot. Spinner at 10 yards with a PCC that's already moving is easy mode. I basically just have to tag it once and it's considered over. Now I have to make more hits from all these different ports on the VTAC, and I'm going to have to do one more hit from this prone position lying down sideways.
Finish unload, show clear.
I am 1st Armored PCC and 2nd overall on this stage. The first portion of this stage would normally be handgun for other divisions, and they would then retrieve their rifle out of the trunk ahead. In PCC, we have to retrieve any additional magazines we're going to use out of the trunk of the car. Prior to this last shot, the shooter has to drop their magazine. If you miss, it's plus 60 seconds. I retrieve my coupled magazines and continue with the rifle portion of the stage. There are 3 targets at the back of the range there that I have to get one hit each on from all of the previous positions.
Hit. 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 Hit.
Retreating uprange with a long gun is a bit more complicated. You have to exercise care to make sure the muzzle is kept downrange. I accidentally tagged that door frame there and have to change my position to make sure I don't shoot the car anymore. Reload, and I take the final shots standing over the back of the car unsupported. I am 1st Armored PCC and 7th overall on this stage. On this stage, the shooter is wearing a weighted rucksack. For other divisions, this is all pistol, but PCC makes short work of all these targets. Always reload before engaging a spinner if you've expended other rounds. I'm going to drive the spinner over. No problem. Interestingly, 2 shooters using only handguns did beat me on this stage overall, making me 3rd overall and 1st Armored PCC. I think they probably had a couple less misses than I did, and maybe chose not to drive the spinner over like I do to be sure about it. On this stage, there are 2 targets out in the wood line. The shooter has to get a hit on each and then drag the kettlebells towards them. Every 5 yards, it's going to pass a line, and then the shooter has to pick up their rifle or PCC and get 2 more hits, one on each target.
Pass.
This is one of the areas where I'm feeling a bit limited by the accuracy of the PCC. I think I'd have more first round hits with a actual rifle versus the PCC.
Hit. Hit. Pass. Hit. Hit. That's a hit.
I clear my PCC. I have to pick up the kettlebells and carry them downrange to re-engage the targets. Other divisions would clear their rifle and ground it there and then finish up with their handgun. The reason we run stages this way is they are effectively self-resetting and it's easier to cycle shooters through.
Hit. Hit. All right, if you are finished, unload, show clear. Well done.
I am 1st Armored PCC and 7th overall on the stage. In the end, I am 1st place out of 6 shooters in Armored PCC Division and 2nd place out of 173 shooters overall. As you can see in this video, this was a great first major match for my KE Arms KP-9. 0 malfunctions, ran great the whole time throughout the entire event. Thank you for watching. Come back again for more action shooting competition content.